Esia, do you want me to start? Shall we jump straight into it?
I think it's time. I think go ahead. Keep on navigating between both the chats to make sure everybody's on board. Go for it.
Okay, good stuff. We are recording, both of us, so let's get going. My promise to you tonight is I will educate you about money and cryptocurrency, even if you are a skeptic. The only reason why you don't own cryptocurrency or are not profiting from it is because you don't understand it. And that's my objective tonight, is to give you a little bit of an education. And the good news is there is no sales pitch at the end. So just a short introduction. My name is Enrico Hanekom. I'm a neuro coach. I help people to change their minds in order to change their lives. I've had multiple businesses over the past 16 years. I'm an entrepreneur also, and I am also very enthusiastic about cryptocurrencies. I'm a cryptocurrency investor and auto trader, which I'll tell you what that means a bit later on. So tonight is really all about you understanding something new, right? And for me, the reason why I started looking at cryptocurrency is for my own financial freedom and independence. Think about right now, how important is that, and how many people are losing income, millions and millions and millions around the world. How many businesses, hundreds of thousands of businesses are closing like this in South Africa? So the model that I follow for financial freedom are these three spheres of freedom. Income, for me, it's a means to value, which I'll speak to you about just now. We all have a limited amount of time, and then also the geographical location. So I made a decision in my life that I will generate income that is free of time and free of location. Not passive income, automated income, because passive income is a myth, right? So I have to say that what I'm sharing with you tonight is just what I've learned on my journey to wealth creation for myself, my family, and my friends. I am by no means a financial advisor, so please don't take this as financial advice. It's educational. So my only outcome tonight is so that you can change your mind. And when you change your mind, I know that you will get different results. So, oh, my screen is not shared. Thank you very much. What I've actually done, I've paused the share. So you should see my three spheres of income. Thank you very much for that note. It's the first time I'm using the screen pause, so now I know. Right, not financial advice, and let's talk about what money is. You know, some people say money is not important, and then I ask them, what is important for you? Then they would say, you know, what's important to me is spending time with my family, going on vacation, having the resources to live my dream. And then we realize that those things require money. So what is money? We have to master money so that it's not our master. Okay. So if you would like to master money, you are at the right place. So before we talk Bitcoin and crypto, it's extremely important that we understand the basics of what money is. Think about the farmers of old, many, many years ago. What did they do? They did barter trading. Okay. They traded bread for whatever. Maybe they traded cattle for vegetables, whatever the case may be. So they traded value. And before long, that became impractical, right? Like, how many millies would I need to trade for a house, right? And maybe this month I don't want millies, I actually want something else. So very quickly the barter trading system became impractical. And I said, you know what, let's have some, and listen carefully, token of value. Let's have some token of value. And that's how the first money came to be. And the first money that one of my friends helped me to research, Frikkie, Besaidenout, maybe he's on the call, it was actually rare shells. where they say, okay, this shell or this stone with a hole on, yes, Frikkie, this is part of your presentation. This rare shell or stone represents 10 millis or one sheep or one, whatever. So now we have a token that represents value. And then so the monetary system evolved and we got to precious metals, things like coins. And the Chinese, interestingly enough, that Frikkie taught me was clever enough to say, you know what, these coins are going to wear out our pockets. Let's create paper money. Okay. So what is money? The thing in itself, the piece of paper, is nothing in itself. It is only a representation of value. So I like a lot of money, and I'm comfortable in saying that, but can you say that for yourself? Probably not, because you have all these preconceived ideas that if you like a lot of money, it must mean that you are greedy. Greed. Money is the root of all evil. From all that I've seen, the root of all evil is actually the lack of money, right? That's what my observation is. So what I'm saying is, if I say I like to have a lot of money, I'm saying that I like value in my life. Money is the means, the token of value that I can use to experience the abundance that everything in the world and everything that God has created for me to access. That's why it's important that you have a lot of money, so that you can do good in the world and that you can experience life to the fullest. So that is my mindset about money. But it took me a while to change the conditioning. If you think as kids, we used to watch cartoons, right? And who can tell me in the chat box, the most evil guy in the cartoon is normally who? Have you thought about this? Who's the most evil guy in all the cartoons and all the stories that you watch as a kid? It's the rich guy, right? How scary is that? We are conditioned, we are conditioned to avoid money, right? We are conditioned to stay poor. A lot of people are extremely committed to staying poor. Okay, so mindset, guys, mindset is so important. So understand, if you are after more money, you cannot chase money, but you can chase value, more value in your life and providing more value to the people around you. I hope that makes sense. Now, let's talk a little bit about what inflation is. Now, I'm going to keep it very, very simple. I'm not the economist or anything, but this is what I kind of figured out for myself. Is inflation is really when the buying power of your currency, your tokens, the rands or the dollars or the paper, the fiat money that you hold, when they lose buying power. Okay? When they lose buying power. So now, look at how can we actually make this, look at the difference here. If we use gold as a standard of value, because gold gets scarcer and scarcer and scarcer, and there's only so much gold in the world, right? Look at this graph. You can see that the buying power of the dollar, I mean, this graph is even, this graph actually ends in 2015. It's now even way more different than this. That the buying power of the dollar or the monetary system is just diluting. It's not actually inflation, it's something else. So let's take an orange, for instance. Orange has a certain value. If you inflate that thing every year, can someone tell me what is the inflation currently in South Africa? We have mostly South Africans. We have people from other countries who are, of course, most welcome. What is the current inflation rate year on year here in South Africa? And normally this is published in the budget speech in February, where we have an inflation rate. Normally it's between 4 and 6%. Does someone in the chat box, can someone help me with what the current inflation rate is? And what I've done is I've actually went and looked at what I buy month to month, the things that I buy every month. And year to year, I noticed that my inflation rate is not 4 or 6%. My inflation rate is actually 22%, right? So what I buy now, next year it will be 22% more. But that orange didn't get 22% bigger. Johan is saying real inflation is 25%. That is very accurate for the so-called middle class. But the orange doesn't get 25% bigger every year. Imagine that. What is in fact happening? The value of that orange doesn't become more. It is the money that is being deflated. The more money that is being printed and duplicated. If there's more of something, what happens to the price? It goes down. So we need to understand that inflation is the biggest lie that we've been told. Thank you, Mr. M. Ziman, Mr. or Mrs. I'm not sure. 2020, 5.17% inflation. Yeah. So, but the real inflation in the region of 20%. We need to understand that inflation is a massive lie. What's actually happening, it's the deflation of money. It's becoming more diluted, right? A country will never tell you this year our currency is now 5.17% worth less than last year. You will never hear a politician say that. They will tell you, well, things are now more expensive by 5.17%. So understand that the value of things stay the same, something like gold, etc. It is the money that is being printed more and more. And in extreme times like now, where we have all these bailouts and things happening, we have things like quantitative easing. Countries are printing money like toilet paper. Now you have to ask yourself, there's the picture. This is actually, I'm not sure if this is Venezuela money or Zimbabwe money, but there they had hyperinflation. So if the government doesn't keep it like in a sweet spot and they print too much money, it will become hyperinflated. And you need a stack of cash like this, right, to buy only some toilet paper, okay? I see Yafu is saying purchasing power of fiat halves every 3 to 5 years. So think about that, my friends. If what you're earning now in 3 years' time, thank you, Yafu, what you're earning now in 3 years' time, if it buys you half, it only buys you 50% of the lifestyle that you currently afford, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to shrink in your lifestyle? Are you going to be earning more? Which in our day and age would be wishful thinking. So what is then behind all this currency, all this paper money? It is in fact debt, right? Because in 1971, President Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard. So in our minds, we had this concept that for every dollar, there's a bit of gold in the reserve bank, which is no longer the case from 1971. What is now inflating the economy and the so-called value is printing paper, which they do through debt. And I think I may have, let me quickly see the US, this debt clock. I'll share the link with you in the chat box. This is the usdebtclock.org. Let me throw this in the chat box, but you can see live how much debt is being created. All the countries around the world, they're just creating debt. The same money in your pocket by the second is becoming worth less and less and less. Okay? I'm sorry, it's not good news, but that is what it is. And especially in a time like now, we will see some kind of a hyperinflation with all the money that's being printed. And then you think back of stories like in Germany, where they used to, after the World War, where they used to use cash and burn that in the furnace to create some heat. And at that same time, you could purchase a house for 5 grams of gold. Okay. Now, why am I telling you this? I need to tell you that money is just a representation of value. Those tokens, those shells, those pieces of stone. What if the government says, oh, these shells that represent the value, we're going to take this. We're going to control this. We're going to decide how much you get. And when you exchange, we're also going to take half of it away, and we call that daylight robbery. Excuse me, I meant to say tax. They call that tax, right? Yes, somewhat controversial, but that is what it is, right? So when governments start to control the token, we see financial crises like we are seeing, okay? Now, let me get back to that slide. Is everyone still on? Yeah, hello. You're still there. So, what is cryptocurrency? You know, in what is happening with the world and the economics is we are saying this system is enslaving people in debt. This system is keeping people in the rat race. What are the alternatives? And this is where Bitcoin enters the scene 11 years ago, where it is seen as some kind of digital gold, right? Some kind of digital gold. Okay, now I want you to remember these attributes of money. What makes money? And I want you to ask yourself, as we go through the information tonight, if you can tick off the boxes. Is cryptocurrency divisible? So money, the attribute, it's divisible. It can be divided into smaller units of value. It's fungible. One unit is viewed as interchangeable with another. It's portable. Individuals can carry money with them and transfer it to others. It's durable. An item must be able to withstand being used repeatedly, right? It's acceptable. Everyone must be able to use the money for transactions, right? We also call that legal tender. It's uniform. All versions of the same denomination must have the same purchasing power. And there's a limit in supply. The supply of money in circulation ensures that the value remains relatively constant. And this is where it's not happening for us. This is where inflation comes from, okay? So in 2008, the white paper for the blockchain was published by Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know who that is. Is it an individual? Is it a group? Is it a group? There's some speculation as to what it is. Now, cryptocurrency is the evolution of money. The blockchain technology is the backbone on which cryptocurrencies work, right? So the word crypto comes from cryptography, where something is encrypted. So this is a digital type of money that is encrypted. Now, I think it's very important that we understand the blockchain. Think about the internet. Who owns the internet? It's not Google, right? Can you put the internet off at once? No, you can't. It's a voluntary network, right, of different computers all around the world. In the same way, the blockchain is built on this voluntary network with a certain protocol. Like on the internet, we have the file transfer protocol, or HTTP, the hypertext transfer protocol, or the World Wide Web. It's a network that is agreeing on a certain protocol and how it operates. And the blockchain is such a thing. It's a voluntary network that is not owned by anyone, right? But there's a certain protocol that operates it. So I want to show you a video that explains so well what the blockchain is. It's a short 2-minute video from the BBC. Let me show you that you can understand what this is about. There may be an ad that pops up here. There we go.
When you want to buy something normally, using your normal bank card, this is what happens. I give my card details to the shop. The shop asks the bank if I'm good for the money. The bank checks its records to see if I've got enough in my account. If I do, it lets the shop know. It updates its records to show the movement of money from my account to the shop's. Oh, and it takes a little cut for its trouble. Now, if you wanted to remove the bank from that system, who else would you trust to keep those records and not alter them or cheat in any way? Well, I wouldn't trust you. I wouldn't trust you. In fact, I wouldn't trust any single person, but I might trust everyone. The idea is you don't have a central record of transactions. Instead, you distribute many, many copies of this ledger around the world. Each owner of each copy records every transaction. So, to buy something using cryptocurrency, I give the shop my details. The shop asks all the bookkeepers if I'm good for the money. The bookkeepers all check their records to see if I have enough. If I do, they tell the shop, and then all update their records to show the movement of money. So there's no way that a forged transaction can make it in. If I try to alter a ledger, it won't match all of the other copies. It gets rejected. Oh, and one of them, at random, will be given a reward of some newly created cryptocurrency. This is how cryptocurrencies work. And remember, all of these bookkeepers, all of these ledgers, they're not actually people, they're computers. Lots of computers.
Okay, you get it. What it means, like, let's take the bank, for instance. If I pay you $1,000 via Bank ABC, right? They are the middleman. They are the third party that holds the ledger. Excuse me. We trust that Enrico now has 1,000 less and you have 1,000 more. We just trust that central ledger. So when Satoshi Nakamoto envisioned this blockchain system, a system that offers an alternative to the current debt-based financial system, he said, this thing must be trustworthy. The level of trust must be so high that I can buy a property from you and there's no reversal possible, that you don't even have to trust me. The system with its decentralized ledger is so good that there's no trust required because the system is good enough. Isn't that mind-blowing? That is the evolution of money, the blockchain. So it's the safest technology out there. So if you look at how the blockchain works, I'll give you a slightly more technical explanation without being too technical. So let's say we have our first block. It's a block of data. You see the three lines. Let's imagine those are the first three transactions. The ledger transactions. This transaction went here and this one went there. Now we have a network around the world that encrypts this block of data. It uses computational power, CPU power and memory and hard drive space, everything that is required to encrypt this block, right, is what is called cryptocurrency mining. Okay. Once the block is encrypted, there's time that passed for that to happen. And then it generates a hash code to prove that the work is done. And that is the chain, that is the hash, right? Depending on which blockchain, it may look slightly different. Now the next block gets started. Block number 2 has all the transactions from the first block. And now it also has the additional transactions that happened in the time that passed. And once again, this network encrypts the block. It's normally SHA-256 encryption, which is a military standard of encryption. The fastest computer currently will take 1,000 years to hack such a block. Okay? And if it hacked a block to change a transaction, there will no longer be consensus in the blockchain. Do you get it? And the same thing happens. Another hash, time passed, and then we have more transactions in the block. We can have a block on a chain, a block on a chain, a block on a chain. The longer that this transaction exists in the blockchain, the more block confirmations we have. Did you know that in Bitcoin's 11 years of existence, it's never been hacked? There's not a single Bitcoin lost. Now people think, but Enrico, we hear on the news of someone. What you hear on the news is when someone lost their wallet authentication, or they have done it in a way that's not safe, or where an exchange is hacked. The blockchain, without having a head office, being a voluntary network, it's just an algorithm. It has never been hacked. And the older it gets, the more secure every transaction gets. Isn't that amazing? Now, the cool thing about the blockchain is we can read it. It's totally private and anonymous, but it's totally transparent. So the reason why I like, let me show you the blockchain. Here's a blockchain reader. So for instance, I want to take this transaction. This is one of my transactions that I've done a few days ago. If you want to read the blockchain, you just go to blockchain.com, and in the Explorer, you can go and see all the transactions. Let me quickly see data. If we look at the Explorer, we can see all the transactions happening. This is seconds and minutes ago, right? Let's click on one, there's the hash, that's the transaction ID. If we look at it, we can see this transaction happened and it's got one block confirmation. Let me show you a transaction I did a few days ago. Look at how many block confirmations it has. It has 500. What's the date on this? Let me quickly check. Can you guys see the date here? It's the 8th of May. So that's that was 3 days ago, and it's already confirmed in 533 blocks. This transaction can never be reversed. It's forever. It is auditable in the blockchain. That is fascinating to me. So the system is good enough that I can transact with anyone, anywhere in the world. There's no discrimination of country. This currency is not married to a specific country. There's no discrimination of age, race, color. You and I can transact now again in the same way that the farmers of old did barter trading. You and I can pay each other. They call it peer-to-peer transactions. We can exchange this token of value, right? We can exchange this token of value without asking anyone's permission. And it's totally transparent, it's totally anonymous. Isn't that such a cool thing? Right? So the perceptions that people have that it's unsafe is because the news is trying to condition you to tell you, stay away. So what are the benefits of the blockchain? It is changing the world. It is a disruptive technology. It cannot be duplicated. Okay, what did we say in the beginning about fiat currencies? Being duplicated, being printed, being diluted. That's called inflation. It's interesting, we are now nearing the halving, which I'll speak about now. We are actually making Bitcoin more scarce and scarce and scarce about every 4 years with the halving. And I'll go into that. So while the whole world is printing money, diluting that, I mean, look at the rand dollar, guys. We're 18, 19 rand for $1. The dollar is depreciating against real value, something like the gold standard. and they're just printing more and more. Where crypto as a sort of a digital gold is getting scarcer and scarcer and scarcer. It's safe, it's unhackable. There's no safer money in the world. Okay, transactions are quick. There's no forex department here. Okay, the transaction fees are small. They're like 1% or less than what you would pay at a bank. And that transaction fee is what remunerates the miners in the blockchain. That makes it a voluntary network. Right? It's borderless, it's international, it's decentralized. This is the main keyword that you need to remember. Decentralized ledger or record of transactions. And it doesn't have to be money. It can be medical records. It can be votes for a president. It can be biofeedback data for health purposes. It can be anything. In our case, our interest is financial freedom, so we're focusing on that part. A decentralized record as opposed to a centralized record. Okay. Essia is saying we are participating in history in the making. Yes, absolutely we are. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you read the blockchain. And there's a really cool visualization of the blockchain. It's called fiatleak.com. I'll put the link up for you guys in the chat box. And someone went and took the blockchain data, is reading it live, and they visualized it as how these different currencies are actually purchasing cryptocurrency. So you can see, I can see the flow in US dollars. We can see on those gray bars, I can see right in front of my eyes a transaction of 70.12 Bitcoin happening. How much is 70 Bitcoin? Let's consider that. Let's make the quick calculation. If you didn't know this, in your Chrome search bar, you can do a exchange calculation. So I just put in my search bar 70 BTC in ZAR, and we'll see that transaction is 11 million Rand happening right in front of our eyes. There's no bank in between. There's no third party, no middleman. Small transaction fees. It's international. That is the beauty of cryptocurrency. That is the beauty of cryptocurrency. And how big is it? Let's consider this. Let's think about this. For those of you who don't know, Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency built on the blockchain. The blockchain is the, as we said, the backbone technology. You can almost say Bitcoin is the app that runs on that. Okay, that's the way that I look at it. I may be technically wrong, but it's a good way to understand it. Then you have altcoins or alternatives that came after Bitcoin. We have things like stable coins like US dollar Tether. We have Ethereum, which has got slightly different applications. But for tonight's purpose, we can just focus on Bitcoin. Interestingly enough, here in South Africa, it's now been more than 2 years already that our banks pay each other in nothing other than XRP Ripple when they do ledger corrections. XRP Ripple is a specific use case type of cryptocurrency. Okay. Now, look at Bitcoin. You can see the current price is $8,600 for 1 Bitcoin. It is the strongest currency in the world based on its exchange rate. The market are voting with their dollars to say, this is what I'm willing to pay. I'm willing to pay $8,000 odd per Bitcoin. The 24-hour volume, this is in dollars, right? It's $6.67 billion. That's the 24-hour volume of exchange that's happening or trading that's happening. Fascinating. It's huge, huge, huge. And I don't even know how to relate that to a company size. The total market cap is $158 billion. It's massive, okay? Compared to some other things, it may be relatively small, but that is the money in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin specifically. Then we have exchanges. What is an exchange? It's like if you go to your bank, to the Forex department, and you say, okay, I want to trade my rands for dollars. There's someone that's willing to buy your rands for dollars, and there's an exchange that happens. And now in our day and age, we have cryptocurrency exchanges. Now, the one that I'll introduce to you tonight is Binance. They've just opened deposits for South Africa. And look at Binance. Their liquidity is 38.4 million. And their 24-hour volume is 2.35 billion US dollars. This is one of how many exchanges? There are more than this. We're just displaying the first 20 something, but there are many, there are hundreds of exchanges. But this top 10 exchange has a 24-hour volume of 2.35 billion. Like, we don't really realize what's happening right in front of our eyes here. Okay, so it's a huge market that we are in. Let's go to the next slide. I've shown you that. Now let's talk a little bit about technology adoption, because this is very important. Like you can ask me, okay, Bitcoin is very cool and all of that. It's very exciting. It's very high tech. But what can I do with Bitcoin? You know, like, what do I do with it? Okay, and I'm also going to show you how to profit from Bitcoin. Now, this curve that you are seeing is the technology adoption curve. Whenever there's new technology, let's say cell phones, for instance, or cryptocurrency, this is the curve that we go through. You always have your innovators. They are the very, very first people that innovate this thing, you know. And then you have, that's only 2.5% of the population. Then you have the early adopters, okay? And many of you have those friends, like when there's a new gadget, they get it first, right? They always the ones to, you will always at them see, oh, I didn't know there's such a gadget, you know. They are the early adopters, 13.5% of the population, okay? Then you have the early majority. And that is when we get to where it's sort of beginning to become commonplace, this technology. And then you have the late majority, and then you have the laggards. That's like a bit like when someone tells you, we just got a DVD player, and in the back of your mind, you're thinking, you know, we've way past DVDs. We are now at Blu-rays. Those are the laggards, right? Where are we in terms of cryptocurrency adoption as a medium of exchange? Currently, we have moved from early adopters to the early majority. We're in the beginning of this early majority curve. I think it's in the region of 16 to 18% of population that has adopted this technology. Businesses, individuals. Right now, like what happened in China, they realized that exchanging cash is a risk for the so-called coronavirus to spread. And they banned cash, the handling of cash. What happened then? Everyone moved to digital currency, you know? And at that time, some of the specific cryptos that they used spiked. I think it was Neo or one of those that they like using. Look at the what's happened on Google, the Google Trends. If you look at the blue curve, buy gold, this is people searching, right? In the Google search bar. Buy silver, buy Bitcoin. Look at that. And this was just before and during the previous halving in 2016. Now, at the moment, we already have very reputable companies that accept cryptocurrency. So this thing of, no, it's a black market thing or some kind of pyramid, we've gone past those perceptions, right? It's now accepted as with Dell and Microsoft and McDonald's and Bloomberg and Wikipedia. These companies accept cryptocurrency payments because it's like it's the evolution of money. Here in South Africa, We have companies like Bid or Buy, we have Take a Lot, we have Clicks. Pick and Pay has done a pilot that's in the trial period. We have Western Union, Superbalist, that's also in South Africa, but they are an international company. Pay Fast, they started and then they stopped again. I'm not sure if that's due to regulatory pressures or whatever the case may be. But yeah, thank you, SF, for that comparison. Microsoft, 1,300 billion. Okay, so make the comparison. So that is why, if you compare, the market cap for Bitcoin is relatively small still. That is why it is volatile. So you have the ups and downs, but we have ways to overcome that volatility. Something else that's happening for me that's an indicator of mass adoption is Facebook launching Libra. Now, Libra is their own cryptocurrency, whether you like it or not. There's quite a few founding members, but look at the industries that are represented in these founding members. Some of them have left the party, and some of them are still active with it. Uber, so you can pay your transport. Spotify and eBay, you can pay for your music and you can pay for your online shopping. Thrive Capital, so you can make loans against Libra. Vodafone, you can pay for your telecommunications. Just to point, to see a few, to note a few of these. So it may very well happen that once Libra is running, that once everyone on Facebook uses Libra, Facebook is so big that it could become bigger than the US dollar itself. This is the disruption that cryptocurrency brings, because suddenly the money is not anymore in the hands of the banks and the governments. We are now printing our own money. Okay? So it is very disruptive, and it is a gray area in terms of regulation. But yeah, we are 11 years plus in with Bitcoin, and the fact that it stood the test of time already is a very, very good indicator for us. Okay? Now, let's quickly look at this video where you can see how easy a payment could be when you make a payment with cryptocurrency.
So today we're going to do a different type of transaction at the point of sale. We're going to buy a dried fruit using Bitcoin. So the cashier scans the article. I tell the cashier I'm going to pay using Bitcoin. In the meantime, I fire up the Luno app, choose the scan option. Electrum now makes a call to Luno, who now issues us with a QR code, which we now scan. And it tells you how many Bitcoin you're going to be spending. And off you go. So there you see the first Bitcoin transaction at a pick and pay point of sale.
Okay, pretty cool, eh? So it will become very commonplace in the same way that you guys now swipe your card, your Visa or your MasterCard. It's just commonplace. You don't think about it. It took Visa and MasterCard about 10 years to become, it's just, you don't think about it. It's just mass adopted. And that is where we are moving into with cryptocurrencies, right? Okay. So did you know that there's already close to 7,000 Bitcoin ATMs around the world? So this kind of money, remember what we said in that, what the attributes of money, it must be portable. This kind of money is the most portable, mobile, cloud-based money that you will ever get. Currency is probably a better word to say. So you can get on a plane with your Bitcoin in your wallet, and you don't even carry the Bitcoin in your wallet. Your wallet is really the access to the blockchain. So your Bitcoins or cryptocurrency is safe in the blockchain. It's untouchable. Your wallet is your interface to that area of the blockchain. Did you guys know we have wallets in exchanges that they hold the private keys for us? We have private wallets where we are the custodians of the private keys. We have full control over it. We have paper wallets where you can save 12 words, right, on a piece of paper. You can put it in your safe, and that's your Bitcoin wallet. It doesn't need to be online. Only when you transact, you need to go online with that. We have cold storage hardware wallets, like this is quite a well-known one, the Ledger Nano. It looks like a little flash drive. If you have quite a bit of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency holdings, you store it on here, then it's totally offline until you want to use it, okay? So there are different kinds of wallets, and we do training in our community to make sure that you use it safely, because now, if you use this kind of currency, you are your own bank. You have full control over your currency, right? Oh, interestingly enough, many of these Bitcoin ATMs, they are typically at airports and stuff where you can just access your Bitcoin wallet and you can withdraw the local currency, which I think is pretty cool. Now, we also have now exchanges that are beginning to transact in the fiat world. You get a card, you load your cryptocurrency on that, and once you swipe it, they will do the background processing to say, okay, this guy is swiping for dollars. We need to sell some of his Bitcoin to dollars, and they automate that whole process. These transaction fees are quite high because it is an exchange transaction. It goes from crypto world back to fiat world, but still it makes it very convenient, right, to operate anywhere in the world. What is happening in the news? The French court rules that cryptocurrency equates money. Huge step for a court to say, hey, this is legal tender. This is money. This is tokens, right? German government recognizes cryptocurrencies as a financial instrument. And based on that, on the 5th bullet point, 20 German banks just applied to hold cryptocurrency deposits. The same way you would deposit rands or dollars or whatever, you can now deposit cryptocurrency at the bank, which I think personally is totally the wrong way to do it. It goes against the spirit of what cryptocurrency is, because now you're your own bank. We don't need the banks. But I guess for people that don't understand the technology, would maybe entrust the bank. But the banks are coming on board. I mentioned to you South African banks page other than XRP Ripple for internal balance corrections. India legalizes cryptocurrency exchanges. Excuse the spelling mistake that I've just noticed. Malta Island government welcomes blockchain technology companies. Valor is a South African exchange that's been funded by Michael Jordan. That is the ex-CEO of FNB. And this exchange, within the first few months, they have done R1 billion exchanged Bitcoin. Kind of makes you think, where are the rands going? I'm showing you where it's going. In fact, I have my Valor open here. I can actually just sign in with my Google account. Just to show you what a local exchange looks like, this one in particular called Valor. I typically keep the minimum here, but here I have a Rand wallet, I have a Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a Ripple wallet. And if I want to deposit Rands, I click on deposit, they give me the EFT details, I make a payment, and I can purchase crypto. It's as easy as that. I'm going to show you an even faster system than that, but just to give you an idea. Oh, and if you, let me quickly see, we are actually 52 minutes away from the Bitcoin halving. So that will probably be just after we finish. I'll explain to you in a second what the halving is so that you can understand. This was from my previous screen grab. So yeah, let's get into the halving. What is this whole halving thing that everyone is talking about, and how can you profit from it? So Bitcoin halving is very important. It's written into the algorithm. It happens automatically. No one can control it, right? The first halving, which occurred in 2012, saw an increase from about $11 per Bitcoin. Who bought Bitcoin back in 2012, and how much did you buy? $11 per Bitcoin. It's now 8,000. It increased after the halving, right? Listen carefully, to $1,150. Right? If I just think about this, if I said to you in 2012, if I said to you, Asia, you need to buy some Bitcoin, and Asia tells you, what is Bitcoin? I tell you, well, it's some kind of digital currency. You buy one for $11, and this thing will go up 1,000-fold, right? Asia
I would have certainly, I would have asked you what you were smoking, okay?
Yes.
So, but I wish I bought thousands of them.
Okay, guys, you need to get this. You need to get this. Then the second halving, 2016. Then Bitcoin was already at about $650 per Bitcoin. And then it went to its all-time high of 20,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. So what the halving is, in the algorithm, it says by a certain number of blocks, we will halve the amount of Bitcoin that is mined in one block. This is significant that you understand this. So there's only, this is exciting, guys, there's only 8 blocks left before the halving happens, okay? And even though it's very exciting, on the halving time, there's actually nothing much that happens in terms of your Bitcoin or whatever. But it means from this point on forward, the same computational power that was necessary to mine one block that contained 12.5 Bitcoin, that same computational power will now only mine half of it, 6.25 Bitcoin. And if someone tells you, yeah, this Bitcoin thing, it's like wind, there's no real value of it. It's nothing. You can't buy wind. It's a bad idea. There is a real cost to creating a Bitcoin. That cost is the hardware, the depreciation on the equipment, the IT expertise to do that, the network, the actual power consumption. There is a cost to create it, to bring a Bitcoin in existence. What's happening in 48 minutes, that cost will double. Okay? That cost is doubling. So let's quickly see, Essia is saying, get ready for the halving. Open your Facebook app or page, open your Twitter app or page or LinkedIn. We suggest you post, I was there and aware of the year for Bitcoin halving 2020. I am a witness, and the moment it halves, at the moment it halves, just for fun. Let's trend. Okay, that's cool. And you can also, I'll share this link. On top of it is a share button. Can you see that? If you want to do that, that's pretty awesome. Guys, I want you to get the perspective here. The world is printing money like toilet paper. They are grabbing at straws to try and keep this debt-based economy alive, afloat, right? Coronavirus is the needle that is piercing this bubble of a debt-based economy. While all of that is happening, we are now witness to the halving. It happens once every 4 years or so in Bitcoin, depending on the pace at which blocks are mined. We are witness to this thing becoming more scarce. So we have this double effect happening. It is really, really exciting. And I want to show you, look at this. The UR year is slightly inaccurate. It's now 2 years later. But if you go and draw a graph of the monetary inflation, right, of how much money is being printed, that's the blue curve. Look at what's happening with Bitcoin. It's getting scarcer and scarcer and scarcer. Can you see why people call it a kind of digital gold? It's a practical gold, so to speak, but it is also a currency. Okay, if I forget to get back to the halving screen, remember, please remind me. Now, why do you want Bitcoin? Well, let me rather not give advice and tell you why I want more Bitcoin. I'm well invested in Bitcoin. But this curve and chart that you are seeing right now in front of you is the 10-year plus trend for Bitcoin. Can you see after the 2012 halving, what happened? It went into that green area. It went into this uptrend, a bull market for 2 years. For 2 years. Yes, there's ups and downs and all of that. It is volatile. It will oscillate in this channel. And then everyone gets to the hype, and then it starts retracing in the red area. Then it basically goes sideways, which we call a accumulation phase. Then in 2016, the next halving happened. What happened again? We went to the all-time high of $20,000 per Bitcoin. This was, I don't know if you guys remember, 2018, December, November, December. Man, if you spoke around the braai, you could hear your friends talking Bitcoin. Everyone had Bitcoin. It was on the news. It was everywhere, and it was just going up. And once that euphoria had hit everyone, of course, it went back into the downtrend, that red area. Where are we now? We are right in front of this third halving. We are minutes away from it. And for the next 2 or 3 years, if Bitcoin continues this trend, it will dip down slightly, and then it will start. Look at this. This has happened every time. It dips down slightly, and then it goes into a 2-year, even more than that, bull run. This was 2016, yeah, 2 years. And look at the high end of this chart, $160,000 US per Bitcoin. Guys, it is unthinkable. I get it. It's totally unthinkable, but it's technology that makes this possible. And is it not the perfect storm right now that's happening in the world for this to happen? It just so happens that this is happening, right? And I don't believe in coincidence. So you are at the right time, at the right place to understand this opportunity of owning the evolution of money, right? So very, very opportune time. I can't state that. It's an understatement, right? So the wallets and exchanges that we use, I've shown you Valor shortly. The one that I've started testing that I'm immensely impressed with is Binance. I've shown you it's one of the top 10 in the world. And in Binance, let me quickly see. This is their view of the countdown, by the way. And in Binance, we can now, I've started testing this afternoon. And for you guys that are part of my team that has bought Bitcoin and you know what you have to go through, if you register for Binance, let me give you my link. If you don't mind using it, they do have a little bit of a reward. So it is an affiliate link, but that is not really the objective. Let me put it in here. Register for Binance. What I want to show you is I did my ID verification on Binance this afternoon. 7 minutes later, after scanning my face and doing an ID check and all of that, 7 minutes later, I'm verified. Man, it was so easy and so seamless. The next thing, I go to deposit fiat. I can select South African rands, and it shows me. Let me just see if I can. This may log me out, but let's quickly see. The next step, it shows me the Standard Bank. They've got a Standard Bank account here in South Africa. I pay that in, right? And within half an hour, look at this, zero rands, 0% transaction fee on the deposit, and it shows up in 30 minutes. I love this. For me, this is like the next level of working quickly. I mean, some of you guys would have known the frustrations it isn't registering for an account and buying Bitcoin and all of that. This is pretty cool. And the same way I can withdraw back into a bank account, also, and the withdrawal fee is only R7.50, and it's an international transaction. The volume, you've seen the volume of this, it's huge. So this is the one that I prefer. And here I have, if I go to the spot market here, I've got access to all the different cryptocurrencies, altcoins, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ripple, whatever the case may be. I can see the graphs, I can do transactions here. So this green little spike here is as, you know, as people are buying into this hype of the halving. But in reality, it's a technical thing that happens. It's the 2 years that's coming that we will see, if the trend continues to play out, we will see this immense growth. I said, Jasper saying I registered also, but my money is still not in. I'm from FNB. So a little trick, they do an instant transfer. Make sure you do it in business hours, because here in South Africa, after 4:15 in the afternoon, the banks go on a go slow or something. I'm not sure. But I actually did a transaction at 5 p.m. and it was in less than an hour, or less than 30 minutes. So I just did the instant transfer. So you can pay from any bank account. So this is probably the easiest way for you to quickly purchase some Bitcoin. Okay, now a very important question that I want to ask you is, should you HODL or should you trade? What is a HODLer? A HODLer is something, if someone spelled it wrong or something, it was they hold onto Bitcoin or cryptocurrency and they wait for the uptrend. And I think in nature, I'm more of a HODLer than a trader. A trader is someone that risks his crypto asset to trade on the up and down swings and make a profit. I'm not saying one is right and the other one is wrong, but I am essentially a HODLer that's in it for the long term. Because look at where we're going. There are guys that are putting their name to predictions to say by 2030, one Bitcoin must be between $500,000 US to $1 million US. It's unthinkable, but the historical chart shows it. Right? Shows it. So my first Bitcoin I purchased at 36,500 rands, where one Bitcoin is now in the region of 160,000 rands. The problem that I had is every time that it goes into a nice spike and I want to take a profit, let's say I have, for example, hey, SCA, you registered for Binance, well done. And thank you for using my link. Maybe I'll pay for my transaction fees with it. So now let's say I've got one Bitcoin and I want to take a bit of profit. Now I've withdrawn 0.1 Bitcoin, right? And now I've got 0.9 Bitcoin left. So I kind of felt, you know, I want to make a profit on my Bitcoin. I don't want it to become less, but I also want to take profits to use, because money is there. It's value that we need to make use of to have an impact in the world. Whether it's lifestyle, whether it's for other people, whatever your dream is, how you want to use this currency. And so I'm happy to say that we found a way, which is like a Bitcoin savings account, where we can hold an amount of Bitcoin and the company go and trade that for us. We can withdraw at any time. They generate a profit. And that is pretty significant, because the profit that they generate, this is just for my back office, they compound that back into my capital. So my capital gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So I can live off the profits of my Bitcoin rather than eating into my crypto asset. And the trading results are pretty cool. It's in the region of 0.5% per day as an average. And what happens then, 0.5% that's compounded every day gets to 2.5% per week. 2.5% per week compounded gets to 10 to 12% a month that I earn in Bitcoin, irrespective of the price going up and down in the dollar and rand exchange, right? So I don't want to go into detail in terms of how that works. I would rather invite you to a webinar on Thursday evening where I explain to you how this specific wallet works, where you can you purchase your Bitcoin through Binance, and this Bitcoin savings account will generate a profit. And I'm so grateful to say that during this lockdown time, I've been able to automate and double my income with this specific wallet. So we like to introduce that to people. And I'll give you the link of where you can register for the webinar. Let's see, how far are we away? Let me refresh the halving page. 35 minutes. Now it's calculating slightly different. So it's slowing down. It's now saying 1 hour and 44 minutes. So I'm not sure why it changed, but this one is supposed to be quite accurate because it reads from the blockchain. Okay. So it is a dynamic thing. It depends on the mining of the blocks. Nonetheless, we are part of history in the making. I looked at an interview this afternoon where someone said, you know, one of the first halvings, they were just like a small group of people and it was such a non-event. Now, there are so much and so many people in this community that begin to understand cryptocurrency. We're moving from early adoption into mass adoption. All of this is happening. So it's such a great time in history. So let me give you the link where you can register for the webinar for tomorrow night. And then I'm going to open for some questions and answers. Alicia, I'm going to look for the link. Do you want to say something?
What link are you looking for?
It is.
I was a little bit distracted. I'm
No worries.
in Binance. I registered quickly, like I said, and now they've got all kinds of questions. So apologies for that. I think the reason that the time span has expanded for the Bitcoin halving is the rate of transactions has probably slowed down because it's after 210,000 blocks that it halves. So it's slowing down towards the halving. I think everybody's holding their breath. So
yeah, the reality is there's not much happening, you know, at the moment. It's a technical thing that happens in the blockchain, but you know, typically the price it could go up from here, it could go down. So that's one of the questions I typically get is, should I buy now or should I wait a little bit for a downtrend or what? And we'll discuss that. So guys, the webinar that is coming up on Thursday evening, I've sent you the link to register. You fill out your name, your email, who referred you to the webinar. Not my name, put the person who's referred to you here and register. And then we will be discussing how you can profit from your Bitcoin and do the automated trading to automate your income. And that is very, very important. And I'll show you some of my numbers and exactly how I automated and doubled my income during lockdown without starting a new job or a new business. So it's a pretty awesome webinar that I would like for you to attend for free. And I also gift you at the end of the webinar with an ebook that holds age-old wealth secrets. And those are the secrets that has helped me to create riches and wealth in my life. And we discuss those principles, how to multiply and these kind of things. And I show you how to implement this with cryptocurrency. So very, very exciting times. I'd love to see you there Thursday on 7 p.m. You can just register with the link. And this is the book that I will gift you. Some of you may have read it already. But at the end of the webinar, I gift you that book. And that is it from me in terms of cryptocurrencies. I wanted to showcase a transaction for you, but I think we've seen enough from the blockchain. It's really easy these days. You have apps on your phone, you scan a QR code, It's literally 2 clicks and you've made a cryptocurrency payment. It is that simple. So I actually didn't plan for this webinar to be on the halving. In my time frame, the halving would have been tomorrow at noon. In fact, there's some halving parties on YouTube scheduled for tomorrow afternoon, where they take a block and they cut it in half. It's the block halving, you know, all sorts of funny things that they do. But it announces this new period that we go in. And I am so grateful for you guys that you are here and that you are taking notice of this. And please take action, right? It's one thing now that you've learned something new, but knowing and not doing is not knowing at all. What will you do with this information? Please decide that for yourself, right? So let's open up for questions. Essia, do you want people to put up their hands or put something in the chat box?
I think, let me cover some that is in the chat box already. And then if you want to type more, you have the choice. Type a question, or you can put up your hand. There's under more button. You can choose to put up a hand, and we will allow you to ask the question live. We'll open your mic. So just decide from that. I'm going to quickly scan back here. Francois Skutte asked, should we buy 5,000 Rand worth of Bitcoin before halving? I know you answered the concern, but go ahead and just give Francois a direct answer.
I'm happy that you're asking it because I didn't quite get into that answer. Some guys try and time the market to say, okay, maybe we'll see a downtrend and then I'll buy. Maybe it's too high now, I'll wait a little bit. But if you are a long-term player like me, we are in it for the long term. These immediate oscillations, the immediate volatility it's dwarfed by the bigger scheme of things and the growth. So the principle that I follow is when I have money to buy Bitcoin, I buy. Whether it's a high or a low, whether I think tomorrow it will be lower, it doesn't really matter in the bigger scheme of things. So because I'm a long-term hodler, but I do get profits with automated trading on my Bitcoin, I buy when I buy. You know, I have guys that phoned me a few days ago and said they were almost in tears because they were sitting on quite a bit of money, waiting for a downtrend, but it's not coming. The price is going higher and higher and higher, and they're waiting for this Bitcoin so that they can buy it at a lower rate, but it's just not happening, right? So don't try and time the market. We are not day traders. Day traders it's a field of expertise. If you don't know, if you're not well schooled and professional in that, you will simply lose money. So we enter the market as soon as you have surplus money to purchase a crypto asset.
Thank you. The other one, we got it the other night as well, but that's cool. It's not the same webinar. Martinette is asking, Luno, are they the only ones that you can use at supermarkets, or are the other wallets already available to do that?
Okay, good question. As to what the current integration is with supermarkets, I'm not sure. I'm not sure of that. But in principle, we pay Bitcoin from a Bitcoin wallet, from my own Bitcoin wallet to another Bitcoin wallet. There's no discrimination in terms of where it comes from or to where it goes, as long as it's in the same blockchain. Then we are good and we have the Bitcoin blockchain. So I've spoken to guys that do these point of sale machines where they say to me, you know, they are the manufacturers and they already have crypto payments embedded. It's just not enabled. They are just waiting for regulation to come up to speed, and they just activate it from the head office and it will work everywhere. So I don't think it's as widely accepted yet in, like, for instance, shopping malls or whatever. it is very common for online shopping. Okay, that video that I showed you was a trial that was done for Pick and Pay. I'm not sure if you are able to do it everywhere now, but the point that I'm making is we're moving into mass adoption where it will become so commonplace, and it doesn't have to be a specific wallet. It doesn't have to be a Luno or a Valor or a Binance. That is just the tool that we are using to make the transactions, right? Or to exchange. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. You know, you can pay Bitcoin to Bitcoin using any wallet. Okay, so that doesn't matter in principle. I'll somewhere read Robert Mittendorf's question here. Hi, Robert. Hi, Enrico. If I have altcoin trader and converted ZAR to Bitcoin and want to pay somebody for something in Bitcoin, do I have to transfer my Bitcoin to the blockchain first and then pay via blockchain? No. For instance, if you want to pay me, I open my app and I give you the QR code of my Bitcoin wallet address. You transfer it to there. The blockchain is the backbone technology that makes all of that work. Okay, so it's a wallet-to-wallet transfer. Now, some wallets have certain limitations in terms of where you can pay. We could get into that, but that's a more of a technical discussion. But you don't have to do this thing first and this thing. You just do one transaction, Bitcoin to Bitcoin, if the wallet allows for that address. Other questions, Asia?
You answered simultaneously. Francois was asking, how do we sell our products using Bitcoin? You can simply sell wallet to wallet, Enrico.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have my phone hooked up, but if I can quickly open, for instance, my Valor account, which is the South African exchange. It's a bit difficult to see here, but it's now loading. I can see that same balance. So let's say you pay for my service in cryptocurrency, which I do a lot. I mean, in our group here, we have the Bitcoin dentist. We gladly pay him in Bitcoin rather than in ZAR. We are actually working on a business directory for companies that are willing to accept cryptocurrency. I don't think it will last long because soon enough it will become quite commonplace. I see this is loading a bit slowly, probably because I'm on Zoom. But I basically say, receive Bitcoin, and it pops up my address, and you can pay me, scan through your camera, or copy and paste the address, and it's done. It's very, very easy. There's nothing to it. Like, to give you an idea, I don't touch the online banking stuff because it's overcomplicated. I'm a bit of a rebel in that sense. So my wife does all the APSAs and the FNBs and all the fiat payments. For me, that's overcomplicated as compared to Bitcoin payments. It's very, very simple. Then I see Martinet is asking, what are examples of the different wallets available in South Africa? Of these Valor, Altcoin, and Binance. Those are Valor, Altcoin, and Binance, and Luno. Those are exchanges. So they are willing to take your rands, sell that off to Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. So it's a local exchange that's willing to transact from your paper money and get you onto the crypto highway. To be an exchange, they also need to hold some wallets for you. Otherwise, you won't be able to transact. But these wallets, they actually also hold the private keys. So I don't have full control. So my long-term holdings, I put in a different kind of wallet. And there you can write it down. I can suggest Exodus. You spell it like Exodus. That's the one wallet. It's a desktop-based one, but you have full control there. And another one is blockchain.info. Those are custodial wallets where you are the custodian of the private keys and it's untouchable. No one can touch it. So the principle any exchange can be hacked, right? Because they are holding your Bitcoins on your behalf. We only hold on the exchanges what we want to exchange in those wallets. Your long-term holdings and profits you put in a dedicated Bitcoin wallet where you control the private keys. Those private keys, you can even, the seed words, you can even put that in your testament for your kids one day, or your grandkids or whatever, you know. So that is indestructible. It will be there forever. Exchanges may come and go. Would you recommend a hard wallet to HODL Bitcoin? You know what, in all honesty, some people may disagree with me, but I've never actually used this. I purchased it. So this is a offline hard wallet. Some people call it cold storage. Cold storage, in other words, it doesn't need electricity. It's just when you plug it in, it will interface. There has been people that lost some of their cryptocurrency with firmware updates. That kind of scares me. So my thinking is, it is a digital currency. So it's very happy to live safely online. This is just me, right? I guess if I had 100 Bitcoin plus, I would look at putting some in cold storage, right? But what we do use to secure online wallets, so all my stuff is actually in online wallets. We do use two-factor authentication, which generates a one-time PIN every 60 or 30 seconds. So someone can't log into my account without my device. So there are those security steps in place. So I'm comfortable with online wallets only. I think if you hold a proper, you know, a good amount, a few millions in Bitcoin, consider the cold storage. But even a paper wallet is cold storage. Okay. Jasper, okay, I've answered your question. That's just my take on it. Eh? There are probably more expert people than I am that can tell you a bit more about that. I do not see myself as a cryptocurrency expert. I see myself as an enthusiast, and I love telling people about it because it's so evolutionary in terms of what is happening in the world. I see the halving, before I go to ECF for more questions, the halving is now 1 hour, 33 minutes away, and apparently 6 blocks. I'm not sure how that changes. I don't have the technical knowledge to answer why that changes, but it is what it is.
There are different sources now that's showing different times. Emil has just sent me a message in the background that's showing under an hour. So it's the different interpretation of the data and the blocks by different people.
Okay.
I've got a question a little way back from Hendrik Hafenga. Will you WhatsApp or email the link for the next presentation?
Okay.
Go for it.
Presentation, I'm putting it in the chat box. If you follow this link, you'll get to this page. We register for the next webinar on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. And once you put your details here, it will send you an email with that Zoom link. The registration will look slightly different than you've done for this one, because here we also have automated emails that go out to you with some more information. Okay, Issy, do you have any more questions, or shall we finish up?
That looks like the questions for the evening. I don't see any hands up for anybody that want to come live with us. Martinet just popped a question in.
Could you maybe do some training on the different exchanges and wallets and how you physically pay people through that? Yes, Martinet, what we do is after Thursday evening, after that webinar, we typically have quite a few people that want to get going, and we onboard them on the Friday morning at 8 a.m. Then I do the actual transactions and the actual payments. Then you can see how it physically works. For tonight, I try to keep it short and condensed and not do actual transactions. So if you join Thursday evening, you will also get the link for Friday morning. Okay, let's hear it in the chat box. What did you learn? What's your impressions? Are you happy with your new education around cryptocurrency? Let's see. I see Yafu saying thank you very much. Martinet, thank you. Jasper is happy. It's been our privilege to share this with you guys. It really is exciting times. What is close to my heart is the fact that we are helping people create wealth in a time where 97% of people are creating debt. That is significant. These are just the tools. Sabrant is saying crypto is the way to go. Thanks, guys. Johan, great webinar. Chris, thank you very much. Very informative. Very informative. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Good presentation. Learned a lot. Thank you, Tinas. Francis saying awesome. Great stuff. Asia. Coin market said 5 blocks left and 46 minutes to go. What you guys can do, we'll sign off now, but you can go onto YouTube and just search for Bitcoin halving or halving party, and look at the stuff that show a little live tag, and see if you can join someone there on the live feed where I'm not sure which company. I cannot suggest a channel or something for you, but it's happening right now, and I'm so happy that we could have shared this event. Maybe in 2 years' time, you're going to remember, oh, it was that evening in May 2020, we were in lockdown, and Enrico told us about the Bitcoin halving happening, and look at where we are at now. So thank you so much for being a part of this. I hope to see you Thursday evening, and so that we can take this further into more depth in terms of how you can profit from this. And I look forward to seeing you guys there. Isia, thank you very much for co-hosting.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you. We're about to cut the Facebook live stream. Thank you, everyone. Very excited to see you. Garfield, contact the person that invited you or whose link you responded on, or phone me. I'll try and put you in touch. I've given you privately my cell phone number. Thank you, everyone. Facebook Live's going to end.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.